nice meeting you and welcome to Stockholm.
Thank you very much. Been enjoying it massively here. We've got some lovely weather during this PDX con. So.
Yeah, it was in the Nordics. It was quite cold and rainy until a week ago, and then it suddenly.
Wow! Yeah, been in Sweden once before during the summer, in Stockholm once before during the summer. It was like 5 degrees and horizontal rain in June.
That can happen sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it hardens the soul.
Yeah. Okay, for me, I know Trimp mostly from the Overlord games.
Yeah.
It was, I think I have covered most or all of them, I think.
Oh, cool.
And it was nice, especially once when with Overlord 2, when I was also talking with Rihanna Pratchett about scripting, game writing. And
oh yeah, okay.
I think she did also work with Overlord.
Absolutely. So
the black humor there, it was
yep.
really fantastic. But now you are doing something really completely different.
Yes.
Yeah. And could you open up? How did you come together with Paradox?
Well, we've known Paradox for a long time. We've crossed swords, like competing in the same space. We know them very much from their grand strategy games. We know people there who work there, various people, and every trade show we talk a little bit. And at one point, I just came to us and said, like, "Hey, we'd like to discuss something," and that's how it all started.
Okay, and it started going really deep then because you joined Paradox completely.
Yes, yeah. We thought Fred was just joking, like, "Hey, why don't we buy your company?" So, and then a couple of months later, we were talking serious business. But I think it has been a great move for everybody. It allows us to concentrate more on development because Age of Wonders 3 was published independently. It was a great success, but it was so much work doing everything ourselves. We had to learn how to market and do PR, and we managed, but we also decided, like, okay, development is really what we're good at, and that's really where our passion lies. It was just a good moment in time.
Yeah. Okay, I will just close the door. A little bit more quiet.
Oh yeah, that helps.
Okay, so you enjoyed your independence, but what was the hardest thing with it?
The hardest thing, you mean? I think just the emotional attachment of having a company that you build up with my business partner Arno over 20 years. That we'd sell basically our souls, like everything that we've worked for in this professional life. But yeah, so far it's just been really good. It's been allows us to get back to the passion that we had initially, and that's just making games and having fun, and we're still doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So how far ahead were you in the progress of this game when you went together?
Well, we've almost worked on this game for 3 years now. I think we started this in summer 2015, and the deal with Paradox was closed last year.
Oh yeah.
And of course the entire discussions about such a acquisition take a long time. So if I have to jog my memory a little bit, but I think we were about halfway in the 3-year period before the discussions got serious. So we already had the entire premise of the game. We had just finished updating the technology to a new generation, so 64-bit native now, new PBR rendering and all that stuff. So we settled that, and we had a first demo to show. I think it's also been a contributing factor to the acquisition.
Yeah, absolutely. They knew they were getting good company, good people, and a game quite quickly.
Yes.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you start working when and how you started working with this Planetfall's idea? Okay, we have this Age of Wonders game series, but we have to do something different.
Yeah, well, we've been making fantasy games for 20 years now, and there have been moments before when we tried something else, but never really got out of the conceptual phase. Yeah, we really love other genres too, especially science fiction and mythological science fiction, like the Star Wars and the Dune and those type of franchises. And we felt it would be such a great match to combine that with the war-focused 4X games, of the war-focused fantasy game of Age of Wonders. Science fiction weaponry, tactical battles with tanks and all sorts of artillery, missiles, orbital strikes, destructible terrain that really very quickly starts to bring visions of a new fun title. So yeah, it went quite quickly. We said, okay, next game we're going to take a break from fantasy and try something else. It doesn't mean that we won't go back to fantasy because we love fantasy too, but so far it's been just really like a lot of freshness for the team and just trying out new things.
And this premise of science fiction galactic empire thing is I could say it's limitless because you have so much you can now do with this new thing. You have this galactic backstory, galactic empire in ruins, and so many planets. But then you get back to you can go. Get to the planets, you meet different alien races.
Yeah, it's quite funny because a lot of space 4X games, especially the ones where you're looking at the star map, they look into the future. But also our game is sort of like delving back, like what exactly happened? How do we rediscover some of the technologies that led to its downfall? So there's a lot of discovery there in that sense too.
It must have been quite awesome for your writers also designing the empire, designing game, because I got a glimpse that there is loads of writing that's gone into the aliens we saw yesterday, into their history, into all that history.
Absolutely.
You have created huge amount of assets.
Yes, what's also fun about science fiction is that a lot of fantasy, especially classical fantasy like we used in Age of Wonders, comes from a shared mythological source. There's certain truth that you can play a little bit with, but the sort of maneuvering room is somewhat smaller. But for sci-fi, you get to put more of yourself or more variety in it. Like a lot of the sci-fi franchises, they differ a lot. There's hard sci-fi with based on technology, and there's more the mythological sci-fi with epic stories. There's different interpretations of like what would happen to humankind in the future, and you can craft your own sort of narrative from that. And generally, also science fiction is some sort of like judgment of humanity's follies, and that's also always an interesting take. Like, how do you view humankind, and what's going to be their role in the future? How do you extrapolate their behavior and the mistakes or the talents?
So what kind of team do you have making the game?
We've got about 30 people working on it, includes a couple of interns. It's about divided equally per specialization, so designers, programmers, and artists. A thin management layer. And very highly creative individuals, and also many people that have various roles. So like people who program, but also do design work, for example.
And how do you see the Dream Studios and yourself, your career for the past 20 years, because you have done quite a few games during the years?
Sorry, how do
you see the Dream Studios and yourself, your history? How do you feel about them?
It's been, we've been tremendously blessed to be able to just to turn your work into passion, and that is a rare thing, and for us it's still fresh. We still love, at least for myself, what we have been doing all that time. We established some cool new IPs, which all had multiple sequels, which I think is really cool. I think it's really cool to create your own world, and yeah, that's something that I think that stays. You know, it's something that, especially if there are games that people play for continued longer period of times. I think that's very satisfying. That they sort of live in your world. That's cool. Yeah.
And when you started creating and developing Planetfall, you had, of course, you had your engine. You were upgrading your engine.
Yeah.
And how were you thinking that, okay, how can we take our existing game style and develop it further?
Yeah, you have to look back and see what is the essence of Age of Wonders, and then how can we improve it. I think especially the big hiatus between Age of Wonders Shadow Magic and Age of Wonders 3. In that period we did the Overlord games, for example, mainly. That was a really reflective period, because when we started on Age of Wonders 3, we said, okay, so this was what this game was really about. This was looking back, this was what made it special. And when you're making, you're not really thinking about that much yet. And I think with that exercise really allowed us to also create the basis for Planetfall. So the war-focused 4X game, the tactics in the battles, the rich fantasy worlds, a certain charm that is in the games, and we try to put that into the new game. And I think that's the reason also why we, without hesitation, would want to put Age of Wonders in front of the name of Planetfall, because it actually is a real Age of Wonders game in its DNA, although the setting might be far into the future. Okay,
and when the game was showed for the first time, announced in the stage, and how was it for you?
Yeah, it's like impressive. I mean, it's such a an important moment, because we've already been working for years on this, and then you hear a couple of months in advance, okay, we're going to reveal it at this event. So you start working towards a press demo that you've seen. You start creating assets, marketing trailer needs to be produced, you need to arrange travel, everything, the excitement builds up, and then you come here and you see that big stage with lasers, you do your trial run, like, oh, wow, this is really a big thing. And then you've got all of the interviews the entire day, so you're really, just going on adrenaline, really. It's you shouldn't do this every day, because that would kill you. But like once every couple of years is a lot of fun.
Do you intend to go to the stage, to the presentation booth, look at people, talk with people?
Yeah, if I have time. I've got lots of interviews now, but we've got we brought 7 people from Triumph here, so they are all across the convention, talking to people, asking questions, giving interviews as well. Age of Wonders Planetfall is going to be the next big step for us as a company. It's gonna be a totally fresh experience for you. Even if you're a fantasy purist, give it a chance. It's mythological science fiction. It has lots of cool stuff, explosion, tanks, and iterations on many of the cool gameplay systems that you've known to love. Come check it out in 2019.